I believe some preliminary inquiry on my part would not be out of place. Mr. Worthing, is Miss Cardew at all connected with any of the larger railway stations in London? I merely desire information. Until yesterday, I was not aware there were any families or persons whose origin was a terminus.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square, SW, Brevis Park, Dorking, Surrey, and the Sporran, Fifeshire, NB.
That sounds not unsatisfactory. 3 addresses always inspire confidence, even in tradesmen. However, what proof have I of their authenticity?
I have carefully preserved the court cards at the time, Lady Bracknell. They are open to your inspection.
I have known of grave errors in that publication.
Miss Cardew's family solicitors are Masters Markby, Markby, and Markby of 149A, Lincoln's Field in Western Central District, London. I am sure they'll be more than happy to supply any additional information. Their office hours are from 10 until 4.
Markby, a firm of the very highest position in their profession. Indeed, I am told one of Mr. Markby's is occasionally to be seen at dinner parties. So far, I am satisfied.
It's extremely kind of you, Lady Bracknell. I have also in my possession, you'll be glad to hear, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, vaccination, registration, confirmation, and the measles. Both the English and the German variety.
A life crowded with incidents, I see. Although perhaps somewhat too exciting for a young girl. I'm not myself in favor of premature experiences. Come, Gwendolyn. The time approaches for our departure. We have not a moment to lose. As a matter of form, Mr. Worthing, I had better ask if Miss Cardew has any little fortune.
Oh, about £130,000 in the funds. That is all. Goodbye, Lady Bracknell. So pleased to have seen you.
A moment, Mr. Worthing. £130,000, and in the funds, Miss Cardew seems a very attractive young lady now that I look at her. You girls of the present day have any really solid qualities, any of the qualities that last and improve with time. We live, I regret to say, in an age of services. Come over here, dear. Pretty child, your dress is sadly simple, and your hair seems almost as nature might have left it. But we can soon alter that. A thoroughly experienced French maid produces a really marvelous effect in a very brief space of time. Indeed, I remember recommending one to young Lady Lansing, and after 3 months her own husband did not know her.
And after 6 months, nobody knew her.
Kindly turn round, dear. No, the side view is what I want. Yes, just as I expected. There are distinct social possibilities in your profile. The 2 weak points in our age are its want of principle and want of profile. The chin a little higher, dear. Style largely depends upon the way the chin is worn. They're worn very high just at present. Algernon?
Yes, Auntie Augusta?
There are distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
Cecily is the dearest, sweetest, prettiest girl in the whole world, and I don't care tuppence about social possibilities.
Never speak disrespectfully of society, Algernon. Only people who can't get into it do that. Dear child, of course you know Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend upon. When I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of any kind, but I never dreamed for a moment of allowing that to stand in my way. Well, I suppose I must give my consent.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Cecily, you may kiss me.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
You may also address me as Aunt Augusta for the future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage, I think, had better take place quite soon.
Thank you, Aunt
Thank you,
Augusta.
Aunt Augusta.
To speak frankly, I am not myself in favor of long engagements. They give people the opportunity of finding out each other's character before they are married, which I think is never advisable.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Lady Bracknell, for interrupting, but this marriage is quite out of the question. Miss Cardew may not marry without my consent, for I am her guardian. That consent I absolutely decline to give.
Upon what grounds, may I ask? Algernon is an extremely, I may almost say
painful for me to have to be frank with you, Lady Bracknell, about your nephew, but I do not at all approve of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew Algernon? Impossible! He is an Oxonian!
I fear there can be no possible doubt about the matter, Lady Bracknell. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London on an important question of romance, he obtained admission to my house under the false pretense of being my brother. Under an assumed name, he drank, I have just been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of my Perrier Jouet Brew 89, wine that I was specially reserving for myself. Continuing in his disgraceful deception, he succeeded in the course of the afternoon in alienating the affections of my only ward. He subsequently stayed at tea and there devoured every single bottle. And what makes his conduct all the more heartless is that he was perfectly well aware from the very start that I have no brother, that I never had a brother, and that I never intend to have a brother in the future, not even of any kind. I distinctly told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
But dear Uncle Jack, for the last year you have told us all that you had a brother. You dwelt continually on the subject. Algy merely corroborated your statement. It was noble of him.
Pardon me, Cecily, but you're a little too young to understand these matters. To invent anything at all is an act of sheer genius, and in a commercial age like ours shows considerable physical courage. Few of our modern novelists dare invent a single thing. There's an open secret that they don't know how to do it. Upon the other hand, to corroborate a falsehood is a distinctly cowardly action. I know it's the sort of thing the newspapers do one for the other every day, but it is not the action of a gentleman. No gentleman ever corroborates anything.
Upon my word, Jack!
Mr. Worthing, after careful consideration, I've decided to entirely overlook my nephew's conduct to you.
That is very generous of you, Lady Bracknell. My own decision, however, is irrevocable. I decline to give my consent.
Come over here, dear. How old are you?
Well, I'm really only 18, but they always admit to 20 at evening parties.
You are perfectly right in making some slight alteration. Indeed, no woman should ever be quite accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. 18 and admitted to 20 at evening parties? Well, it will not be long before you are of age and free from the restraints of tutelage. So I don't think, after all, your guardian's consent is a matter of any importance.
Pray excuse me, Lady Bracknell, for interrupting once again, but it is only fair to tell you that Miss Cardew does not come legally of age until she is 35.
That does not seem to me to be a grave objection. 35 is a very attractive age. London society is full of women of the very highest birth who have, of their own free choice, remained 35 for years. Lady Doubleton is an instance in point. To my own knowledge, she has been 35 ever since she arrived at the age of 40, which was many years ago now. I see no reason why our dear Cecily should not be even still more attractive at the age you mentioned than she is at present. There will be a large accumulation of property.
Uncle Jack, you were quite sure that I can't marry till I'm 35.
That is the wise provision of your grandfather's will, Cecily. He undoubtedly foresaw the kind of trouble that was likely to occur.
Then Grandpapa must have had a very extraordinary imagination. Algy, could you wait for me till I was 35? Don't speak hastily. It's a very serious question, and much of my future happiness, as well as all of yours, depends on
Of course I could, Cecily. I could wait forever for you. How can you ask me such a question? You know I could.
Yes, I felt it instinctively. But I couldn't wait all that time. I hate waiting even 5 minutes for anybody. It always makes me rather cross. I'm not punctual myself, I know, but I do like punctuality in others. And waiting, even to be married, is quite out of the question.
Then what is to be done, Cecily?
Don't you know, Mr. Moncrief?
My dear Mr. Worthing, as Miss Cecily states positively that she cannot wait until she is 35, a remark which seems to me, I feel bound to say, to show a somewhat impatient nature, I would beg of you to reconsider your decision.
My dear Lady Bracknell, the matter is entirely in your own hands. The moment you give your consent to my marriage with Gwendolyn, I will most gladly allow your nephew to form an alliance with my ward.
You must be quite aware that what you propose is out of the question.
Then a passionate celibacy all that any of us can look forward to.
The destiny that I propose for Gwendolyn. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. Come, dear, we have already missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss any more would expose us to comment on the platform.
Everything is quite ready for the christening.
The christening, sir. Is not that somewhat premature?
Both of these men have expressed a desire for immediate baptism.
At their age, the idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. Lord Ragnall would be highly displeased if he learned that that was the way in which you wasted your time and money.
Am I to understand, then, that there to be no christenings at all this afternoon?
I don't think that, as things are now, Dr. Chastable, it would be of much practical value to either of us. Grieved to hear such sentiments from you, Mr. Worthing.
They savor of the heretical views of the Anabaptists, views that I have completely refuted in 4 of my unpublished sermons. Baptismal regeneration is not to be lightly spoken of. Indeed, by the unanimous opinion of the fathers, baptism is a form of new birth. However, where adults are concerned, compulsory christening, except in the case of savage tribes, is, I regret to say, non-canonical. So I shall return to the church at once. Indeed, I have just been informed by the pew opener that for the last hour and a half, Miss Prism has been waiting for me in the vestry.
Miss Prism! Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I am on my way to join her.
Pray, allow me to detain you for a moment. This matter may prove to be one of vital importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is this Miss Prism a female of repellent aspect, remotely connected with education?
She is the most cultivated of ladies and the very picture of respectability.
It is obviously the same person. May I ask what position she holds in your household?
Oh, I am a celibate, madam.
Lady Bracknell, Miss Prism has been for the last 3 years Miss Cardew's a valued companion and esteemed governess.
In spite of what I hear of her, I must see her at once. Let her be sent for!
She is nigh.
I was told you expected me in the vestry, Dick Cannon. I have waited for you there an hour and 3/4.
Come here, Prism! Prism! Where is that baby? 28 years ago, Prism, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104, Upper Grosvenor Street, in charge of a perambulator that contained the baby of the male sex. You never returned. A few weeks later, through the elaborate investigations of the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was discovered standing by itself in a remote corner of Bayswater. It contained the manuscript of a 3-volume novel of more than unusually revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there. Prism, where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I must admit with shame that I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day you mention, a day that is forever branded in my memory, I prepared as usual to take the baby out in its perambulator. I had also with me a somewhat old, capacious handbag in which I intended to place a manuscript of a work of fiction I had written during my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of
stations in London.
What station?
Victoria. The Brighton line.
I sincerely hope nothing improbable is going to happen. Improbable is always in bad, or at any rate questionable taste.
I must retire to my room for a moment.
Mr. Worthing, this news seems to have upset you. I trust your indisposition is merely temporary.
I will return in a moment, dear Canon. Gwendolyn, wait here for me.
If you are not too long, I will wait here all time night.
What do you think this means, Lady Bracknell?
I dare not even suspect, Dr. Chasuble. I need hardly tell you that in families of high position, strange coincidences are not supposed to occur.
Uncle Jack seems strangely agitated.
Your guardian is a very emotional nature.
This noise is extremely unpleasant. It sounds as if you were having an argument with the furniture. I dislike arguments of any kind. They are always vulgar and often convincing.
It has stopped now.
Oh, I wish you would arrive at some conclusion. This suspense is terrible. I hope it will last.
Miss Prism, is this your handbag? Examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness of more than one life depends upon your answer.
Yes, it seems to be mine. Yes. Here is the injury received for the upsetting of a Gow Street omnibus in younger and happier days. And here is the stain on the lining caused by the explosion of a temperance beverage. An incident that occurred at Leamington. Oh, here on the book are my initials. I had forgotten that in an extravagant mood I had them placed there. The bag is undoubtedly mine. I am delighted to have it so unexpectedly restored to me. It has been a great inconvenience without it for all these years.
Miss Prism, more was returned to you than this handbag. I am the baby that you placed inside of it.
You?
Yes, Mother.
I am unmarried.
Unmarried. I do not deny that that is a serious blow. But after all, who has the right to throw a stone at one who has suffered? I cannot repentance wipe out an act of folly. Why should there be a one law for men and another for women? Mother, I forgive you.
Mr. Worthing, you must be so fair. Maternity has never been an incident in my life. The suggestion, if it would not be before such a large number of people, would be almost delicate. There stands the lady who can tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but would you kindly inform me who I am?
I'm afraid that the news I have to give you will not altogether please you. You are the son of my poor, dear sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and consequently Algernon's elder brother.
Algy's elder brother. Huzzah! I have a brother after all. Cecily, how could you have doubted that I had a brother? Dr. Chapman, my unfortunate brother. Miss Prism, my unfortunate brother. Gwendolyn, my most unfortunate brother. Oh, Algy! You'll have to treat me with more respect in the future. You've behaved like a brother in all your life.
Well, not till today, old boy, I give it. However, I did my best, though I was out of practice.
Under these strange and unforeseen circumstances, Mr. Worthing, you may kiss your Aunt Augusta.
I am dazed with happiness. I hardly know who I am kissing.
Mr. Worthing, Mr. Moncrief, as I shall now call you, after what has just occurred, I feel it is my duty to resign my position in this household. Any inconvenience I may have caused you during your infancy could please me. Sincerely apologize for.
Don't mention it, Miss Prism. Don't mention anything. I'm sure I had a very pleasant time in your handbag. Despite the slight injury received in the oversetting of an omnibus in happier days. As for the suggestion of you leaving us, it is absurd.
It is my duty to leave. There is really nothing more I can teach, dear Cecily. In the very difficult accomplishment of marriage, I fear my sweet and clever pupil has far outstripped her teacher.
A moment, Letitia.
Dr. Chasuble.
Letitia, I have come to the conclusion that the primitive church was in error on certain points. Corrupt reading seemed to have crept into the text. I beg to solicit the honor of your hand.
Frederick, at the present moment words fail me to express my feelings, but I will forward you this very evening the last 3 volumes of my diary. In it, you can peruse a full account of the sentiments I have entertained for you for the last 18 months.
Lady Bracknell's climate says he cannot wait any longer.
True, I must return to town at once. I have now missed no less than 9 trains. There's only one more. Prism! Through your last observation to Dr. Chasuble, I learned with regret that you have not yet given up your passion for fiction in 3 volumes. And if you're really going to enter into a state of matrimony, which, at your age, I feel bound to say, seems somewhat like flying in the face of all wise providence, I trust you will be more careful of your husband than you were of your infant charge, and not leave poor Dr. Chasuble lying about at railway stations in handbags or receptacles of any kind. Dr. Chasuble, you have my sincere good wishes, and if baptism be, as you say it is, a form of new birth, I would strongly advise you to have Miss Prism baptized without delay. Dear child, we expect you in Upper Grosvenor Street in a few days.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Come, Gwendolyn.
My own. But what own are you? What is your Christian name now that you have become someone else?
Good heavens, I had quite forgotten the point. Your decision upon the subject of my name is irrevocable, I suppose.
I never change, except in my affections.
What noble nature you have, Gwendolyn.
The question had better be cleared at once. A moment, Aunt Augusta. At the time when Miss Prism placed me in the handbag, had I been christened already? Pray, be calm. This is a terrible crisis, and much depends upon the nature of your reply.
Every luxury that money could buy, including christening, was lavished on you by your fond and doting parents.
I was christened as a 7-year-old. Now then, let me know the worst. Tell me what name I was given.
Being the eldest, you were naturally christened after your father.
Yes, but what was my father's Christian name? Oh, pray don't be so calm, Aunt Augusta. This is a terrible crisis, and everything hangs upon the nature of your reply. What was my father's Christian name?
I cannot, at the present moment, recall what the general's Christian name was. Your poor, dear mother always addressed him as General. That point I remember perfectly. Indeed, I don't think she would have dared call him by his Christian name. But I have no doubt he had one. He was violent in his manner, but there was nothing eccentric about him in any way. That was rather the result of the Indian climate and merit and indigestion and other things of that kind. Indeed, he was a rather monotone about the little details of daily life. Too much so, I used to tell my sister.
Algy, can't you recollect what our father's Christian name was?
My dear fellow, we were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
Aunt Augusta, his name in the army list of the period, I suppose.
The general was essentially a man of peace, except in his domestic life. But I have no doubt his name would appear in any military directory.
The army list of the last 40 years are here. Miss Prism, Dr. Chasuble, take 2. Aunt Augusta, I beg you to bring your masculine mind to bear upon this subject. of it at once. Algebra. If you have the smallest hint of filial affection left, pray, search English history for our father's Christian name. Well, no. It would upset you too much. Leave these researches to less philosophic natures like ours.
Give me 6 copies of any period this century or last. I could not care which.
Noble girl, here are a dozen. More might be an inconvenience. No, my darling, just allow me to look. No, my love, please let me. No, I shall find it fast. No, just allow me, my love.
What station, Mr. Moncrief, did you say you wished to go to?
Station. Who said anything about station? I really want to find out my father's Christian name.
But you handed me a Bradshaw of 1869, I observe. A book of considerable antiquarian interest, but not in any way bearing on the question of names usually conferred on generals at baptism.
I'm so sorry, Uncle Jack. The generals don't even seem to be alluded to in the history of our own times, although it is the best edition, the one written in collaboration with the typewriting machine.
To me, Mr. Moncrief, you have given 2 copies of the price list of the civil service stores. Generals do not seem to be marked anywhere. There seems to be little demand or little supply.
This treatise, the Green Carnation as it is called, seems to be about the culture of exotics. It contains no reference to generals in it. It seems a vulgar and middle-class affair.
And what nonsense are you reading, Algy? Huh? The army list. Well, I don't suppose you didn't know it was the army list. You've got it over to the wrong page. Besides, here's the thing staring you in the face. Generals, 1960, M. Malin. Ghastly name difficult. Malin, Midley, Moncrief. Captain, Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel. General, 1860. Christian names, Ernest, John. I always told you, Winkle, that my name was Ernest. Well, it is Ernest. I mean, it naturally is Ernest.
Yes, I remember now the general was called Ernest. I knew I had a distinct reason for disliking the name. Come, Gwendolyn, my own Ernest. I felt from the first that you have no other name.
Gwendolyn, it is a terrible thing for a man to discover that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. Can you forgive me?
I can, for I feel that you are sure to change.
I am one. Letitia.
Richard.
Yes! Cecily! At last! Gwendolyn. At last.
I have missed the last train. My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, for the first time in my life, I've realized the vital importance of being earnest.